Mabuhay, kapatids! My name is Stephanie.
And my name is Aimee, and welcome to the Babaylan Bruja Book Club podcast.
We have come together in efforts to decolonize our minds, our bodies, and reconnect with spirit by ways of relation via conversation, of education, interpretation, and integration.
So, this is our invitation for you to join us on our journey as we discuss works from honored artists, authors, and thought leaders from the Filipinx diaspora. Quick disclaimer: we want to acknowledge that everyone is consciously where they need to be.
And we are not experts, but we are sharing our own unique lived experiences.
As always, before we begin, we want to take a moment to ground, taking a pause to drop into our bodies and become fully present to this space. If it is safe for you, we invite you to close your eyes, straighten your spine, and direct your focus to your breath. Let's take a few deep inhales, extending our bellies out, and let's do an exhale sigh. Inhale. Let's do it a couple more times. Inhale. And one more time. Be aware of your body and relax your shoulders and jaw and come into the present moment. And I invite you to think of something that happened today that you are grateful for. And as we begin our conversation, we'd like to acknowledge, respect, and honor the ancestors who are for our highest good and invite them into our conversation today. We acknowledge the ancestors of this land, knowing we cannot do our own remembrance without remembering them. For me, that is the Shawnee, Miami, Hopewell, and Adena people in Ohio. And for Stephanie, that is the Bay, Miwok, Yokut people in the Bay Area, California. We also acknowledge and invite in our guides and source to be with us to support and guide our conversation. We pray that they may support and guide you too. And with gratitude, we also acknowledge your presence, energy, and light, no matter wherever and whenever you're tuning in.
Thank you, sis. That was beautiful. I love grounding prayers. They just bring you back because we move so fast throughout the day. And so something as simple as just take a breath, And while we're at it, let's thank all the spirits around us. So thank you for bringing that.
Of course.
How's your heart today?
Oh, man. So my Kali Activate Ancestral Strength course has started. It'll be over probably by the time this hits the airwaves, but I don't know, but it won't be the start. Anyway, that started this past Wednesday. So it's been a roller coaster. I've felt really good. And then there are so many beautiful people in this container. There's so many powerful people. Like, whoa, the first day was live. And it was during the full moon lunar eclipse.
Literally powerful.
Yeah, the blood moon. And then we broke the internet. We broke Zoom. Like half the people after the meditation just got kicked off. And it was people not just from the same area. It was like East Coast, West Coast. So there was something energetically happening. But yeah, so just trying to sit with all of that. And, whenever you put yourself out there, there's some shadow boxing that you get to do. So working through that and just, feeling all of it. There's a lot of things, both good and struggly, but in this moment, right here, right now with you, I feel good. My heart is well. Thank
Oh,
you. How,
yeah.
how about you, sis?
My heart is well as well. I'm congratulations on launching. That's huge.
Thank you.
And you're gonna say something?
I was going to say that it's because of Steph that I'm even here doing the course,
Oh,
because she was all, you should teach Cali when you come to Cali. And
kiss my ass.
I never even thought about it. I was like, yeah, okay, that's fine. And then it just became a whole thing, and it inspired me in different ways.
Oh,
So
that's
listen to your friends when they tell you to do stuff, and you're like, I don't know, just do it. See what
I know.
happens.
I know. Well, it honestly surprised me that you weren't in that role. I mean, you were, but I guess Source had to come through me to just be like, watch, teach
Because
us.
it had to be in a different context.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
needed to be in a spiritual context for me to connect with it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
the teaching of it. So
It came in divine timing. You were doing the work, sis.
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
divine was like, Bathala, which we'll talk about in just a bit,
Mm-hmm.
was just like, it's time.
Yeah.
So, but
So
thank
but
you.
anyway, your heart is well. Back to you, sis.
Yeah. My heart is well. Yes, my heart is well. Um, I am going to go on vacation soon, so I am excited to step away and unplug from the matrix for a little bit and connect with nature. So I'll be on the road. I'll be on the road again, you know. And this will be an interesting expedition because I'm going to the desert in the summer and I don't know why we chose that, but it's just going to happen. So Bathalana. Uh so yeah, I'm a little anxious, I'm not going to lie. However, and I'm open to the possibilities and just letting life, like letting control go. And there's things you gotta some things you gotta control, like I gotta pack my bag, but it's like, yeah. So, and we're gonna record too on the road, so that's gonna be fun. I'll be in Vegas, huh? I'll probably
Oh,
see some titas buying some bags.
hell yeah. Oh my gosh, so many titas and their
So many
bags.
bags, tita jewelry. Speaking of jewelry, shall we floss just a quick sec?
Just real quick. Just we're twin stars today. I mean, all
We're
day, every day.
we are
But
exuding the twin star effect. See these
see, this is why you need to go to the YouTube and
the
like and
YouTube.
subscribe, huh?
Subscribe, leave us message,
So you can see our earrings.
and go get some. Holler at our sponsor. You know what I'm saying?
We need, yeah, we're calling in some sponsors.
Some Filipinx ones too. There's some pretty
Oh my gosh, yeah. There are
very
some
much talented.
amazing, yeah, amazing jewelry designers out there.
I
So,
love me jewelry. I love some jewelry.
oh yeah.
you know, anybody wants to like hire a novice model, um, I'm here for it. Okay. Anywho, let's move on. Our hearts are well, and
Yes.
we are thankful and enjoying life.
The
So,
chapter.
chapter 7, Mama, we made it. We're on chapter 7, which is the Babaylan, our Filipino spiritual heritage. Thank you, Teresita Obusan. I hope I said that right.
That sounds right.
Ate Teresita. Thank you, Ate Teresita, for this chapter. We were celebrating that it was shorter, but it was definitely full of dense information to dissect and unpack. Um, and I think she has more to write because 20 years, she spent 20 years. So this is, just to kind of dive into it, she calls it the LAKARAN, which is a Tagalog word that means pilgrimage or journey with her spiritual ancestor. She was in Banahaw, which is like it's a province. I tried to look it up actually, and it's actually just talked about Mount Banahaw. It's an active volcano in Luzon. So there's three main regions, right? Which stand for the three stars on the Philippine flag.
Yes, come on.
Luzon, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. And Luzon, which is more north, I believe. I can stand corrected. I don't know, sis. But it's an active volcano there, and it's between Laguna and the Quezon provinces. It is the highest mountain in both provinces in the Calabarzon, bear with me, region. And it's a landscape for miles. So sis was there, Ate was there for 20 years and sat with GABINETE, which is a three major body kind of spiritual infrastructure that consisted of 12 elders in the community, priestesses,
come on,
and sacristans, which carried out the liturgical functions. So, and at that time when she was there, she sat with a son of Amang Illustrimino. Excuse me. Let me say that again. I apologize. Illustrimino, the son of Amang, Jose Illustre, was the ordering Supremo when the Teresita was there. Interestingly, the priests were originally trained men, but they, according to Ate, she used this MARUPOK po sila, which means weak. So women were actually eventually trained and they passed the training. So then that's why there was priestesses, which is so interesting, right? We love our men. I'm not a man basher, but that's just really interesting. Okay. And what's wonderful that for me personally, was like they relied on the wisdom of the nation. So there's a lot of contradictory terms that came up that Teresita talked about, which is like bastardized Christianity, because they pulled things, and it's called from the Filipino cultural matrix. So it's like a mashup, right? But it's, we're given like a certain outline of how a religion's supposed to look, and then it's compared to that, and then they called it bastardized, which is interesting.
Right.
Huge, because bastard in definition is like a son who didn't know their father.
Right.
Like, because priestesses, I was like wondering while I was reading, like, is it because priestesses are in charge, or not in charge, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like doing most of the work.
And the church says women aren't supposed to be
right.
Well,
that. and it was pointed out in the chapter that it was called bastardized Christianity, but they were saying actually this was us all along. Like this is
pre-colonial.
Yeah, this is pre-colonial.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
why it was really dense, because it's like she pulled actually a bunch of, what did she call it? Cameos that we'll go into in just a bit, but there's cameos and of what defines what has played, what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? Concepts to attribute to the Filipino spiritual heritage.
Yeah, I loved that.
So, yeah, do you have anything to add, sis?
No, that was a great summary.
Okay. So we will move into then, as always, the vocab words, and then the quotes, and then we close out with prayer.
Okay, I can go first. So one of the vocabulary word that I picked was banal. I think that's probably how you say banal. That sounds right. That sounds Tagalog. That sounds Filipino to me.
Honestly, can we have like a Filipino alphabet, or like a Baybayin course? I think there's some, but they're always so limited. They're so limited.
Yeah, because it's, that's very,
and popular.
Yes. So banal means holy. It says actually today the term banal means holy, but its original meaning is true and real. So she brought this term up talking about the I think the priestesses, or the people who she went to go and visit and stayed with. Two things that stood out about them: their love and commitment to Inang Bayan, motherland, which they called servicio, and that of being banal, so holy. But I just loved how, so it means holy, but its original meaning is true and real, which we can kind of weave together, meaning anything true and real is holy.
Yes.
And anything that is holy is true and real. So anything can be holy. Like if you're having a true moment, a real moment in between, like in between sisters, in between people, just with yourself, with nature, that's a holy moment. And I think it even can extend beyond the duality of good and bad. So it doesn't have to be a moment that's real and good. It could be an intense moment where, you know, somebody perhaps is passing away. There's a bunch of grief. Like grief is definitely can be holy, you know. And then we talk about sacred rage. Sacred is another word also for holy, right? So but that's why we can have the word sacred rage, because the rage is real. And that's why grief can be holy, because it's a true, real moment that needs to be honored. Like grief needs to be honored, rage needs to be honored at times. If you're working out things with somebody and you're in a difficult moment, but you're both being conscious and you know, not trying to hurt each other, like that's a real moment. That can be a holy moment. So I thought that was interesting. And I didn't research it anymore, but I would love to know how it went from holy to true and real, right? But I love the interplay between those two and the meaning that they both, like banal has both those meanings, holy and true and real.
Yeah, it's like a dance of you saying the wordplay. Um, I didn't really think of banal. I think banal, like linguistically, it doesn't click for me. But I think if we're talking about like what you were saying, how there's there's truth and real and holiness in emotions and good and bad, right? I think that, oh my gosh, sis, did you see that little, there was a little light just now in front of your face.
No. In front of my face?
Yeah, I was going like this and it went, I looked up. You got a spirit flying. Hello, spirit. Thank you for being here. We called you in.
We did. We said
Excuse
if you
me. I'm a
we
little
said
shocked.
we said if you are for our highest good, you are welcome.
You are welcome.
So
Um, but yes, so the holiness, I want to like accentuate that things are just, they just are, like good and bad, whatever. Like again, I'm tired of this. I'm glad we're moving past duality and polarities, but I recognize that they have served their space to be like a benchmark for us, so that we can divert into a deeper conversation or a higher understanding that, you know, rage, these uncomfortableness, like truth isn't always rainbows and fucking butterflies. It's not
yeah.
always like you see those memes, like what people think spirituality is, like you're sitting on a fucking rock and like the sunset's beautiful and you're like,
Yeah.
that silhouette, like they're
Yeah.
in like
Yeah.
they're in like not what's that lotus pose,
Yeah.
whatever. But then like it's like wow, spiritual awakening really is. It's like someone like crying tears, like mascara messed up,
Shadow
like
boxing.
yeah, yes, all the darkness and the and it's like it's both, you
Yeah.
know. So I think that banal is bringing up the both and paradox for me, to recognize that truth and holy and realness is both. Like
Yes.
Comfortability and it's uncomfortability. And it just is. And
Yeah.
I think part of the human experience is to recognize that and to feel into it and then decide where you want to stay. Right? Because you can stay in the dark, you can stay in the light. It's up to you.
And I think too, if you get rid of the duality, the dualistic terms of good and bad, because somebody's good can be somebody else's bad, and somebody's bad can be somebody else's good, right? Because it's all in perspective. And I
Subjective.
think you hit it on the head when you said talked about being comfortable. It's probably not necessarily good or bad. It's like comfortable and uncomfortable. That's why I say somebody's uncomfortable, but I could be here like, oh, I'm super comfy, cozy. And they're like, this is bad. I'm like, this is amazing. But,
Yeah.
so it's like in wherever you are in your journey, and maybe recognizing that being uncomfortable does not necessarily mean you're in a bad spot. It just means you get to learn. It means you get to be
Mm-hmm.
stronger. You get to notice what is making you uncomfortable and why. Is it something where you need to have a difficult conversation, or is it a place where you get to exercise your voice, or um, that sort of conversation, instead of just trying to escape from being uncomfortable, like sitting with it and just wondering. Yeah.
Yeah. I think what comes from me, um, listening to Abraham Hicks the other day,
Hmm.
um, this like again for me, everything is energy. And when
Same.
we try to find the truth, it's like dialing into the frequency of a radio station, right? It's like, how can I fine tune this so that it I can hear it in the truth that comes through for me? And everyone has different radio stations. Everyone has different frequencies. So how do we fine tune and kind of listen in on that truth? And sometimes like it's probably getting really deep, but the metaphor is like, when you dial in the radio the old school way, right? Because I sound like those people, the old people. Now in back in my day, back in the day, when my dad had those like those tuner radios, like
Yeah.
you just dial, it goes to the number. Sometimes it'll be off depending on where your car is or wherever you're standing.
Right.
But again, like that's sort of how we dial into the truth, like, right?
Mm.
And sometimes you dial into a radio station, you don't like that song, you want to go to a
Mhm.
different radio station. That's your truth. And that's
Mhm.
all okay. Like the universe is so vast. Anyways, so
Yes.
tying it back to Banahaw in the book, the context of the book, um, that it sounds like what I'm getting a sense of is like the love and commitment, the truth of to the land and our lineage, and
Yeah.
um, yeah,
Yes.
feel complete, sis. You
I
need to
do.
end. Okay,
I do. I am complete.
okay. So my vocab word was lakaran. I can even say it right, I don't think. But it was interesting that the word was it means pilgrimage or journey, according to Ate Teresita. Um, like an invitation to contribute on this project, the violence on page 209. It's literally like I don't know, within the first 20 words. She says, when I went to Banahaw some 20 years ago, I did not know that it was the start of my Lakaran. One, pilgrimage journey with my spiritual ancestors, the Babaylan. I have not really put my life's journey in this context until I received this invitation to contribute on this project on the Babaylan. One thing I really liked about this page is that she says, I did not start out to look for the Babaylan when I was doing my graduate work in Philippine Studies at the Asian Center at the University of the Philippines. What I did not realize was that the spirit of the Babaylan was there from the earliest period of my life. It was a spirit that hovered over me, that I encountered in those that I met in the events of my life. And I think this speaks to me about spiritual awakening or just more awareness, really the expansion of consciousness. Like I thought about like this past week, sis, with all the energies, like I was inner child, like integration, like there were my inner child's pieces that I was like, I forgot about that part, I forgot about that incident, didn't remember that, and one thing that like I thought of when I read this paragraph was um my attempt to connect to the cosmos in like I think it was 8th grade or something. I was in middle school. I did a study on astrology. Like it was my book report or
Yeah.
something. And
Yeah.
I remember thinking like my teacher probably thinks I'm weird, but I was like, looking up all the horoscopes of the signs and like um giving a report as to why this is a valid thing.
Oh my God, I freaking love it. Look at
Right? I was like,
you.
oh shit, I forgot I did that. But I was like sitting here in 6th grade, but people were putting like book reports on like their dog or like their car
Oh
or
my gosh.
not a car. We're in middle school, but like planting herb gardens or something. And I was like, so astrology.
Yes, you were already Babaylan Bruja vibes back then.
Yeah, I guess so, right? I was
Yeah.
like, oh, and you know what, sis? I'll share this as an intimate thing. Like I had a like inner child was like, wow, that was a demon like that came in that really like took over me and made me like be a badass little kid. Like I didn't play nice on the
Yeah.
playground. It was
Yeah.
like an incident. It was a whole thing. Um,
Mhm.
but I reconciled with that inner child. I was like, I get it. You were angry, like you were
Yeah.
mad, and but yeah, it was like a real intimate like I was like, whoa, So anywho, um, I just kind of like that made that like sparked a memory drawback. Like, where have I felt like a higher connection to the cosmos, right? In my life that I wasn't really thinking too much about it, but it was
Yeah.
just so that's the interesting, like, that's what like fascinates me personally, or like I could nerd out about, like, in a past life, where does this trait from, we talk about this too, like,
Yeah.
we probably went to like priestess school in the past.
Oh yeah. No, we were definitely in some priestess school. We were
We were
got
studying something because here we are on this podcast reading
yeah.
a book.
I feel like we were probably I don't think we were I feel like we were like if we were to sit in class, we weren't in the back, but we were like a little bit towards the back, and I feel like we were funny.
Throwing gum, what do you call it? Chewing the paper.
Yeah, but
Put
we
it
still
in.
got shit done though.
Really do that. I did, yeah, we did.
Oh,
We passed.
hell yeah, we did. So
And here we are
anyway.
today, trying to complete these assignments. Right, somewhat of a forced but voluntary, like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
accountability, like.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
But yeah, lakaran, and I think I just wanted to bring that up because it brought me of lakad, um, umay lakad. Like I was talking to my mom, I was like, doesn't lakaran come from like that means journey, like you're walking, you're traveling. And so
Oh,
it kind of linguistically activated something for me because I remember like my grandma every time like in like
yeah.
college or high school, like she's always on lakad, like she's always journeying, she's always going somewhere, like she's
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
So I was like, oh, linguistics, Tagalog. There's always like a what do they call like pronoun, subnoun,
Yeah. And
which is
in that triggered a what did you call it? A linguistic memory? Is that what you call it?
yeah, because like my grandma's would just be like, oh, she's always mama lakad. Like just like I'd be like going to the mall with my friends or like going to the movies or hanging out with my boyfriend, whatever, right? And it's like always lakad or traveling.
Yeah. So in Cebuano, that triggered a memory for me. In Cebuano it's lakao. So lakad, lakao, lakaran. So it's lakao, like to which means to go for a walk.
Yeah. Your
Yeah.
words are so
That's cool.
they're like spells ish kind of in a way.
Listen, we were talking about that the other day.
The words are spells, you know what I'm saying?
Literally spelling. You're spelling a word. It's literally called spelling. With
So
your
what
spells, you can create your reality.
Watch what you say. That's what they say. It might just come true.
True story.
Okay. So I think that completed the word.
Do you feel complete?
Word. Yeah, for now. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no. My internet says unstable. Can you hear me?
Yeah. You're clear here. You're clear here on this side.
These internets. The energy this week is just crazy.
I am connected straight to my router. I bought a 100-foot long cord, like a long
cord. Okay, you connected. Yeah. You tapped in.
Yes, I
like,
said
I'm never falling off like that if I can control it again.
Yes, and I said we're going into Mercury retrograde. Let me get myself a long ass cord. So, but yeah,
good for you.
Energy.
What do they say? Stay prepared.
Get ready. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. I stay ready. So, okay. Do you feel complete? You said you felt complete there.
Yeah.
And then your internet went funny.
I know mine. It's a little funny, but we're just gonna keep rolling.
Keep rolling. All right. On to quotes.
Quotes. Okay.
I can go first.
Yes, ma'am. Please do.
Okay, so I'm just going to read this whole passage.
Are y'all tuned in?
It's a passage. It's from page 211. It's Babaylan, Our Filipino Spiritual Heritage. It's funny because my husband Rob, he listens to these and he's always like, man, your quotes are really long. Like talking about mine specifically. He's like, you just like read a whole 2 paragraphs. I'm like, well, they got to get the context.
They do. And not trying to joke or anything, but I mean, most of them are not reading the book with us.
And that's okay.
Yes.
That's why we're doing this.
We're being like, brown girl Cliff Notes.
Cliff Notes, yes.
Audible. Hire us.
So the section is literally called Babaylan, Our Filipino Spiritual Heritage.
Okay.
So easily one hears about social, political, historical, and economic heritage, but very seldom is the subject of the Filipino spiritual heritage discussed. Basic to the Filipino culture, or any culture for that matter, is its spiritual heritage. Unfortunately, what is basic is often considered ordinary, and what is ordinary is usually taken for granted. This perhaps is one reason why Filipino spirituality is a neglected aspect of our culture.
Underline that.
Yes, there are other reasons, not the least of which is the colonial experience that left a deep scar in the psyche of Filipinos.
Yes.
Researchers too have paid scant attention in this area of our culture. The Filipino spiritual heritage is seldom given much attention, if at all, by Filipino social scientists. Research methodologies, and analysis are based on Western models, which on close scrutiny does not fit the Filipino experience.
Duh.
The coming of the colonizers radically changed the colonized Filipinos' perception of their religious heritage. What was sacred was now, quote unquote, of the devil, something to be ashamed of. I'll hop down. It was the Babaylan who saw through the colonizers' mixed motivations. The poignant cry of a Babaylan in Pangasinan was a foreboding of what was to come. What is this taking place in my land? What is this change in my people? What are these men of white teeth doing here?
Come on.
The effect. The effect.
We have brown skin and brown teeth too.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to hype you and have these questions on this.
I love you. Okay, almost done, I swear. The
Look at you.
effect of the colonial experience runs deep and far-reaching, influencing even the present. The colonizers have long gone, but they left inner colonials. Those who consciously or unconsciously mimic the former colonizers. The situation is insidious because the inner colonials are oftentimes unaware of the values they continue to propagate. Oh my goodness. Everybody take a breath right quick.
Mm-hmm.
Whoo!
Wake up, Neos.
Sigh that out. But I chose this passage because this is why I stayed asleep and assimilated for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Is because of the inner colonials. So this passage does two things. Like when I read it, I have that sacred rage. And then it also, and it brings up grief as well. There's grief and loss, and, just anger. Because I was taught that, uh, that pre-colonial, if it wasn't Christian, then it was of the devil. Anything not stamped with Bible was the devil. And so, therefore, I didn't see the divinity, the holiness, the banal, the true, and the
Come
real
on.
in my ancestors. And my ancestors live inside me. So, therefore, even though I didn't articulate this in my brain, like it's inside there, if you have that idea, then all of a sudden you are not holy or true
Right.
or real, right? Or divine. So, it makes me angry. It causes me to have a lot of grief, but it also causes a lot of compassion for my for where I used to be, because sometimes I can look back and feel a little, honestly, like sometimes a little bit ashamed of where I used to be. Not like ashamed as embarrassed, well, maybe embarrassed, but like, like, God, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I believed that. I can't believe, all this stuff. But it it is what it is, and now I am where I am now, right? So at one point that was comfortable for me until it became uncomfortable, if you don't want use the paradigm of like good and bad, right? So,
Well, as above, so below, as within, so without. We have to know both to know the difference. One cannot exist without the other. So I'm wondering for the listeners, sis, if you like to share, like, how do you transmute that grief, that anger?
um
Transmute meaning like, how do you?
process it, take that
Yes.
energy.
Yes.
Well, so I don't know if you knew, but Kali is really spiritual and healing.
Come on.
No, but for real. So that is one of the ways that I have learned to take my grief, is in Kali moves, using those to, if I have grief, just take my stick and flow, flow with my stick, my Kali sticks. That's one way. Another way is just to uh, really honor it when it comes up. Sit with it, honor it, give it the space that it deserves. Know that it's coming up because it's real and because it's important, right? It is important. The grief is important. That's why it's coming up. So, honoring it and honoring, I think a big way for me is by remembering my ancestors, by acknowledging them in my own personal, like, spiritual practices, and just giving them the honor and the remembrance and the respect that that I haven't in the before period of my life. So
Mm-hmm.
those are just a few of the ways. So
Mm-hmm.
thanks for asking.
Thanks for sharing. I know I put
Yeah.
you on the spot, but yeah,
Okay.
it sounds like you there's a there's a tool that I talk with my clients about when I'm coaching, especially like insomnia patients, how to navigate cognitively through that space,
Mm-hmm.
thoughts and the emotions that are going haywire. It goes like this: catch, check, change. So it's a cognitive behavioral therapy tool.
Ooh.
We already consciously or unconsciously follow it. You catch the thought or the feeling or the emotion, right? And you check it and then you change it. And there's no like you got to stay in this for this certain amount of time or this phase and that phase. You move how feels right for you.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, for folks like myself who have chronic pain, I don't want to sit with that energy. So I do want to move it as fast as I can. But at the same time, I have been in situations where I moved it too fast. And then when it's a repeating lesson. So anywho, I offer that tool for folks to
Yeah.
transmute when sacred rage or grief come up, catch it.
Yeah.
Catch it and be neutral. Like notice it. Just like you would notice a friend, just like I would witness you. Like, oh sis, I see you're angry. Oh, Stephanie, that situation made us angry, I see it. That's okay.
Yeah.
You're allowed to be angry.
Yeah.
You're allowed to be happy. You're allowed to be sad. And then check it, catch it, check it. What do I need? I need my collie sticks. I need to go punch a punching bag. I need to go scream. I need to go journal. I need to go outside. I need to
Mm-hmm.
talk to a friend. I need to hug myself. I need to cry. I need to, tend to your needs, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then
Yeah.
change it. Essentially, I think it's like simultaneous, but um, yeah, it's just I offer that because it's part of reparenting ourselves, right? Whether or not you had a conscious parent. Um, it's not like they were like, this is how you help your screaming child stop feeling that way, or like, this is how you help your teen, or,
Yeah.
get out of their mood thing. It's like, especially in Filipino households, unless you had like a doctor in psychology, which is like up and running now, right? Like, I love to see it all the emerging like therapy, which again, like whatever makes you happy, right? Whatever field, but yeah. I just speak for millennial myself. I'll speak for myself. Okay. I'll speak for myself. In my household, my parents were like, catch it, check it, change it. What? Like, what is
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. No, and yeah, definitely in my household as well. So I was I mentioned this before. I'm an adopted person. So that's part of my journey and my story. So my mom is Filipino, but my dad is American. But so I grew up in half of a Filipino context, if you will. But yeah, it was like you don't talk about your feelings. You get over them. You don't address your feelings. You literally get over them. And one of the teachings that was so harmful the from the evangelical roots that I grew up with was that don't trust, like, your heart is evil. Yeah,
What?
like don't trust your feelings. Like the
What?
I'm
Really? No way.
yeah, like the oh
They
shit.
told you if you
Yeah,
got
like
feelings, don't listen to yourself.
yeah, because your heart could lead you astray. There's
Oh, so backwards.
it's
So
from there's
ass
a verse in
backwards.
it is. It's from there's a verse in the Bible. I don't remember it anymore,
In
but
the Bible? Oh, Lord.
well, it's from they're taking it out of context is what is
Which
happening.
which version of the Bible do you know?
It's from a proverb, I believe. It's from
What?
Proverbs.
See,
Yeah.
that's alarming.
So that's what I was taught. So I speaking of astrology, my sun and my moon, my emotions are in water. Cancer, sun, Scorpio. So I had some feelings, but they said that you need to push them all down. So,
That's so
Yeah.
I'm feeling the sacred rage come about, like injustice too, or like our honoring our own sovereign, you know, pakiramdam, intuitiveness, like, and to be indoctrinated. Like, I know this isn't part of my quotes, but 212, Bernard, at the Teresita quoted Bernard. He's the author, wrote a book, just quickly, but I don't know if they mentioned like she cites Bernard. Okay, it's on page 212. But it was like how we were Christianity, we were converted, classified, venerated, indoctrinated, like
Yeah.
what? And it was interesting too. I think I don't know if you remember sis, but like the Spanish missionaries, they studied Babaylan. They studied our language and then they learned how to
Yes.
translate
Mm.
fucking they translated Catholic doctrines and prayers in Babaylan.
Yes. And that's one of the things too that I wanted to point out, like after this, it underneath that heading of the Babaylan or Filipinos heritage, one of the reasons they were able to, you know, kind of Christianity was taken too easily was because um much of our pre-colonial like spirituality was already predisposed. So like Batala, what you're going to talk about later, was a supreme being. So it could easily translate to Christian Catholic monotheism, and then reverence for spirits of the dead. That could be veneration of the saints, the fondness of external rituals, easily translated into the symbolism and the sacraments. So we already had our own thing going on, and they said, oh well, that you're just a little bit wrong. And
Our
here,
way's better. Our way's better.
yeah,
I we're gonna pillage your people and condition them to think this way too.
yeah, and if you don't think this way,
We're gonna
then we're
kill you.
going to kill you. So okay, I found the verse. Hold on, I found the verse because I
Tell
need it.
them. Tell them.
So it's from Jeremiah 17:9.
Mm.
The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? But
Cue
those
all
things
the eye rolls, please.
But those things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile the man. So, in
Ugh.
context, it's in context, but
Blah.
basically they were
Me.
it the context is, if somebody's saying anyway, I'm not preaching. I don't care about the context.
No. Tell.
No, it's fine. But what I'm saying is it was taken out of context for me to be like you're being too emotional, or that's just real, it's too it's just, why are you crying? It's fine. Like logic your feelings away. Logic, because you can't trust your heart. Your heart is evil and desperately wicked.
I feel like whoever wrote that was like channeling it, or whoever translated it
Translate
for
it. Yeah.
you, your young mind to take in a concept, to conceptualize, like missed the mark. You know what I'm saying? Like our heart is supposed to be our guidance,
Yeah,
you
well,
know.
that was a very big evangelical point in the church, is that you cannot trust your own
Don't
feelings.
think for yourself.
Yeah,
It's the
well,
devil.
that, and it, like we learned in the other chapter about indigenous science, about knowing, about trusting your intuition. So therefore it says don't trust your feelings, don't trust your intuition. And only the Bible, or only somebody who knows the Bible really well is going to be able to tell you what is good for your life and what is true and real, instead of your own intuition and knowledge and knowing. So, of course, we were assimilated and asleep for a long time.
I'm going to sleep right now because it's just
Yeah.
I'm just playing. I'm just playing, but I'm just
It's,
ugh. Sorry.
yeah.
Bullshit makes me sleepy. Even
I'm,
my own bullshit, okay? I
I'm,
got my own bullshit too. Let me on that, but
I'm sorry, but this is making me tired. Your bullshit's making me tired.
Like, how are you gonna tell me not to like listen to my own love? You know what I mean? Listen to my own heart, listen to like my connection to the divine, which is love. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It is crazy. I mean, it made sense to me at the time, but now that I'm out and back to trusting my own knowing and my own intuition, I can just see how it is a tool that is used to keep people disempowered,
Yeah.
And again, too, I can still have compassion for where I came from and from the people, because I used to be those people. I used to be saying, sometimes I feel bad. Like I helped with youth group. I be telling the kids the same thing, you know?
Well, same. I mean, I work with clients like the other day at a stress management coaching. She was just like, reading my Bible calms me down. And I'm like, that works for you.
Yeah.
If it brings you clarity and peace of mind, then do what you got to do, you know? Do I agree all the way? No, but that's what brings her calm. And that's
Yeah.
energetically, you
Yeah.
know, again,
Yeah.
I respect people are sovereign. So
Yes.
um
Yes.
so it's like that paradox. It's the time we're in. It's like it's a both and, you know, the
Yeah.
Bible, yes, it does this, but it also does that as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just man who has made it so complex.
Listen, yes, that's
Yeah.
what it is. It's
Emphasis on man. No, I'm just playing.
what did they say? Wait, hold on. Hold on. That Babaylan from Pangasinan, she said, "What are these men of white teeth doing here?"
White teeth. This the white privilege just started. Like
Why'd she have to say white teeth?
I know. Dang. Well, I mean, shit. We didn't have dentists in the village, did we?
I guess not, but did they? I mean,
How do we floss though? I mean, there has to be some there's historians who know.
you
So
know, we were taking from the
the
banana
bamboo,
leaves, from the banana leaves, you know that.
pulled it and like eat
Yeah, we was
all in there.
clean. There was a okay, I know we're getting off topic, but just
I know, sorry.
no, I love it. So oh gosh, I need to cite my sources, but I do remember reading that when the Spanish colonists came over and they were like making reports on the pre-colonial Filipinos like us, our ancestors, and they were saying how interesting it was that they were very clean. At the end of the day, after they were working in the fields, they would go and they
Shower?
would wash themselves off in a waterfall. And they thought that was interesting and different.
There are no waterfalls in Spain? Like there's no
No,
nature out there?
listen, that's
Ugh.
why when Europe colonized North and
Yeah.
South America, they brought all that plague that killed out most of the indigenous people.
Yo, you know what? I didn't understand at the time. Gulliver's Travels. I read it in 11th grade.
Yeah.
Do you remember that book?
Yeah.
Because it's basically a satire on like trashing Europeans, how they're so nasty because they don't shower.
Yeah.
And
That
you think about it when you know the Europeans went to like conquer lands, they brought the disease.
mhm.
We were the indigenous people we were good. You know, we had our herbs. We were praying. We were transmuting energy on the daily. Like
We
we
were
were taking
taking
care.
baths.
All right,
Yeah, okay.
silly. We're silly.
All right. But anyway, I feel complete.
All right,
Okay.
Jeremiah. Jeremiah. Um, before I move into the quote, I just wanted to highlight because we didn't really talk about it in the summary. But if you look at page 213, this is where Ate Teresita goes into the cameo she presented with the statement that Filipino religious heritage is a broad area that requires a lengthy discussion. But bum. So with this hour or hour-ish we approach in here, we encourage y'all to really look at this section because it's I mean it's short, but it is a lot to unpack. You know, they talk about Babaylan language, um, the Babaylan language it can be traced back to 80,000 years ago in a cave, in the a Tabon cave in I don't know what, doesn't say what province or area, but yes, you can look that up.
Yeah, and everybody knew how to write. Sorry, sis. I just wanted to say.
Yeah, we were a literate culture, okay? We were not illiterate, okay? Um, which leads me to in this section anyhow, how the early Filipinos perceived their God because language helps communicate. Hello. So, according to the language that they discovered, the word Bathala, name of the dominant god among the early Filipinos, is written in BHL in Babayan. The Ba be considered to be representative of a woman, Babae, BBE. We're talking about again, it's easier to look at the textbook, but if y'all are listening, bear with us. The word for man, lalake, LLKI, right? This is probably like I'm visualizing them looking at the cave of the language of the words on the walls. Um, the L, the la L is symbolic of the male gender. The ha H is easily seen as representing the spirit. This is so funny because it's like I feel like the spirit's so light and like ha ha ha, right?
Yes.
This is interpreted to mean that the Filipino god is neither man nor woman, but a spirit that encompasses the characteristics of both genders.
Yes.
So, y'all's may or may not already heard Bathalana. I think there's a meme floating around, the internets of the CDC. Some Filipino joker, Filipinx joker was like, the CDC said Bathalana. Bahala na sa buhay mo. Okay. Live your life, like whatever, vaccine or not, like mask or not, do you boo-boos,
do you.
But anywho, yeah, so Bathala, even though it feels a little more feminine in for me, is a non-gender, and that was our god, that was our god reference. But just kind of continuing on, 214 and 215, those are the other cameos that Ate Teresita cites. The cross motif, the discussion of the cross, prayer, which actually is listed in 25 different Filipino words.
Mm-hmm.
So Arang Banal is there. Banal means prayer too, sis.
Wow, I didn't know.
Panalangin, which popped out for me because going to Simbang Gabi, growing up in a Catholic church, the song sang at like 6 a.m. Isn't that the time they say you're most in touch with spirit anyhow? Between 3 a.m. to 5 a.m.
Yeah.
I was in church, so yeah, Panalangin, they were singing that in church. I was like, oh shit, prayer. Beatas, which is I don't know, sis, if you want to run through. Should we run through that or just let them know? This is where live would be great. Do y'all want to go through this? Or just you do it on your own? I feel like that's in class. Like
they can go through it on their own.
The one thing I wrote blah next to though is with the introduction of Christianity, the Babaylan was marginalized. The Philippines became a male-dominated society. I wrote blah. Yet the irrepressible spirit of the Babaylan cannot be contained. Amen. The truth. The truth.
One of the things I wanted to point out about the cross motif is that why it's one of the Filipino cameos is because we already had a cross motif. It was already here. It's not something that the colonizers brought over. But we already had it in it actually even played a significant role. The crosses were an invitation to the spirits dwell on them in order to protect the fields. So it was already a religious, spiritual symbol. So I thought that was interesting.
They cite the ethno-linguistic groups such as the Hanunuo Mangayans.
Yes.
It's seen in their basket and clothing designs. So you can look at this page for the citation if you want to look more into it. Beatas, I just wanted to say that the Beatas were the Talangpaz sisters. Dionysia, Cecilia, of Kalumpit, Bulacan. Shout out to Bulacan. That's my Lola side. We love to bake. But basically the very name,
Pandesal.
huh?
I said pandesal.
Ugh. The Lungpas came from a flat rock where the Babaylan performed their rituals. The Talangpas sisters founded the present day Augustinian Sisters Recollect. And I just want to cite that the Roman Church, Roman Catholic Church, is starting to acknowledge this.
Yes.
So, okay. And then there's a Pamitinan on the Holy Week of 1895, a year before the 1896 Philippine Revolution. Andres Bonifacio, along with 8 companions, went to cave. Rizal was there, and they talked about how they want to lead this revolution, honey. And so the 1986 EDSA revolution. What does EDSA stand for, sis?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
That is a great question. I'm so glad you asked.
Sorry to put you on the spot, but I think maybe your eyes will make it quicker, so we don't make this.
I don't know.
Pan out.
The People Power Revolution, also known as the EDSA Revolution or February Revolution. People
February.
Power Revolution.
It
It doesn't
would
say
be
why. It doesn't say what EDSA stands for, though.
Yeah.
The People Power Revolution. Come on now.
It does talk about how the nuns, though, they came and like stood against, boulderers,
Yes.
machines coming down, and they talked about how it's like, regardless of your spiritual religious stance, the spirit does not forget. And Banahaw, the truth. Or what they also cite here, Mahinahon, peaceful and nonviolent revolution.
Oh, I got it. Thank you, Google. Thank you. I asked the Oracle Google.
Oh.
So the 1986 EDSA People Power Revolution gathered millions of Filipinos from all walks of life to march along Epifanio de los Santos Avenue. EDSA is the name. They are shortening Epifanio y de los Santos S Avenue A. So Epifanio de los Santos Avenue.
Why do we gotta have long ass names? Like, why?
Why didn't they just call it People Power Revolution? I feel like that has more traction.
I don't know. I have a long ass name. Can I just share a quick funny story?
Yes, please.
I went to the DMV. So I have 4 names, and it didn't fit in the DMV. And the lady was like, I got to do your thing manually. And I was like, I was a baby. Like, what am I going to do?
That's
I have 4 names. Yeah, it's crazy. Filipinos, man, always be like, Contessa de los Rosa.
Yeah.
Tanya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're funny.
Okay. But yeah, that is chapter 7 in a nutshell.
Right.
About our Filipino spiritual heritage. And
yes. I really love this chapter just because that's what I feel like Babaylan, just like the name of the chapter, Babaylan, our Filipino spiritual heritage, that it really is. That's why you and I were drawn to this. Anybody drawn to this is usually looking for something spiritual in their pre-colonial search. So that the Babaylan is what caused me to research and decolonize, if you will, deconstruct, and just my own current faith and spirituality. So
yeah, and to just connect with the truth,
But now,
yes. I mean, I said this before in other podcasts, like 2020 the number one like question was like why. That what Google said reported was asked is why. So keep questioning, regardless what people say.
Yes.
Power to the people.
People power revolution. EDSA.
Say the street name again.
Epifanio de los Santos Avenue.
Such strength. Now you do with your Kali sticks.
Yeah.
Everybody. All right, sister. Close.
Yep, I'm complete.
Shall we move into? We feel complete.
Yes.
Listeners. So as we complete our conversation and close out this container with gratitude, again, we bring recognition and honor to all of the seen and unseen forces that guided us here together in this moment. Thank you for joining our conversation. And as we end, we leave you with a panalangin. Panalangin.
Yes.
Prayer. May we, in all ways and always, remember our connection to our bodies, our lands, our homes, especially to our home planet, Mother Earth, and all her abundance to hold us when we feel lost or lack. May we hear through life's daily chaos that inner voice of our own intuitive, sovereign, heart-centered wisdom, our pakiramdam. When we are weary, may we know that God, Bathala, the divine, is only one breath away. May Kapwa grow in your heart, and until we meet again, may you know that whatever happens, all is and will be well. You are loved, and all of Bathala Na names we pray. Amen. I say aho, and so it is.
And so it is. That one was good. I felt it. Did you feel it? I felt it. Okay.
Yay!